Welcome everyone, Madman bringing another RSL video. So today I want to talk a lot about Shogun, a little bit about Sun Devil, a little bit about Dust, and a little bit about Powder. Why? Well, I've seen some other CCs kind of put some information out, especially with Shogun there, and they're leaving a few caveats out that can create pitfalls for you if you're not aware of them and not prepared to compensate for them. So let's just jump in to Shogun here, and I'm going to show you a run and explain what some of the problems are real quickly. I have a more detailed video. One, it shows from stage 10 all the way to stage 25, what champs I used, what builds they were in, and how the heck I got there. So there is some information out there. May apply to some of you, may not apply to some of you because it's going to depend on your gear and your champs, but you can get there, and there's kind of a guide for that. Now, I got all rare team. Real quick, let's go into team setup. I'm going to go through this really quick because a lot of information and I don't want to make the video too doggone long. All right, so Gnarlhorn, all we care about is A1, 183 speed, and you want enough HP and defense. Definitely enough HP. I want to say 40,000 is probably more than enough. 2,000 defense, I want to say, is probably enough. He needs to survive a potential crit on that first hit. After that, we don't care. Next important here is Paragon. He can be substituted with Emic. We don't care about his A3. We just really want him to do his A2, which is place unkillable on the leader, and the leader is Gnarlhorn. He's running 175 speed, and then again, just enough HP and defense, to survive. You don't need resistance or accuracy, or any crits stats. Thirdly, Reliquary Tender. Now, she is definitely really important, and she is our fastest champ. But she can be any 3-turn cleanse champ. Any 3-turn cleanse champ. So you can use Mithrala, or I can't remember all who cleans it, but it needs to be AoE cleanse as well. So on her A2, removes all debuffs from allies and places continuous heal for 2 turns. That doesn't matter. You just need to remove the debuffs. Prioritize that. Then just use her A1 if you're using Reliquary Tender. We don't really need the A3. But you do, again, 284 speed. She is going to be the fastest. You don't need accuracy or resistance or any crit stats. Just, again, HP and defense to survive. Now, your highest blessing DPS, in my case, is Cold Heart. You want her to be the fastest, so she's at 247. She's got enough crit rate to do her Heartseeker. She is at 292 crit damage, which go back to Gnarlhorn. He is at 293. So we are cutting the limits close because he needs to have the highest crit damage so the boss targets him. And then, she doesn't have much survivability stats, but, we gave attack, but she's a max HP champ. Remember, 247, just prioritize whatever their big hit is for who your DPS is. Second DPS, Cold Heart here, which is my second DPS. Again, prioritizing her big hit maneuver, and she's at 245. So the slower one has the lower blessing. Now, blessings are a critical caveat here. This is a pitfall that some people might fall into when they see these other CC videos and wonder why the hell they've matched everything and it doesn't work. Well, have you matched everything? So, again, Gnarlhorn. Now, real quick, why is Gnarlhorn so important? These two we're not using, but these are non-hit abilities. Anyway, he's only hitting with his A1. This cannot be strong, don't care. Cannot be critical, don't care. Cannot be weak, do care. That is highly important against this boss. If you weak hit, he shoots up his shade counter. He shoots up his shade counter, and that screws the tune, and you're going to fall out. That's why Gnarlhorn is just, you got to have him, period. Right? And unless they come out with a champion that cannot ever weak hit, you got to have Gnarlhorn in this comp if you're going to do the cheap man's version. Everybody else you can substitute. Of course, Paragon is very limited with his ability to place unkillable. Like I said, you can use Emic, and then between Emic's unkillable and Gnarlhorn's, you'll have to use Gnarlhorn's unkillable as well. You can keep Gnarlhorn going as unkillable. And then a little bit limited as far as 3-turn cleansers, but you still have a lot more options there. And then doesn't have to be DPS. This could be a debuff champion that puts, decreased defense or weaken or hex or whatever the hell. But I do recommend one thing. So let's go back in here. The boss is magic. Spirit is weak to magic. You don't want to weak hit or you get that shade counter up. Now, I'm going to start the run here. I'm going to take it off auto if it's on off of auto. Okay. Boom. Boss goes. That enfeeble means you will potentially weak hit, and this is protected. You cannot cleanse. This is why, since Gnarlhorn cannot weak hit, he is very important in this budget kind of cop. Now, we're going to start with her A1, and then her A2 will be prioritized, so we're going to run through her. But before we go to that, so A3, 4-turn cooldown, then he's going to do his A2, and then he's got 2 turns of A1. So A3, A2, A1, A1. It's 4-turn cycle. And on that 4-turn cycle, you need to have enough blessings to counteract 28 potential on the counter. This counter could go up to 28, but it's not really go up to 28, but that's the max potential. So if you can cover that, you're good to go. This won't fail as long as you have it tuned. Now, why is that important? Because if this goes over 10, instead of doing his A1, he's going to go in his A4. But I'm going to show you in here a second. So he's going to do that. Now, what happened here, right, is he crit me. When he crits on any of these skills, it goes up by 5. But Gnarlhorn counterattacked, and he's a 3-star bless, so that knocks it back down to 2. So that's helpful. That's why you want retaliation, or I want to say retribution, gear on him if possible, so that he will counterattack, because that will help keep this lower. Now, let's go ahead, go through until he does his A2 here. Now, you notice we got that counter back down to 0. Now, boom, he's going to do his A2. Now, he crit me again, so it's back up to 5. And then when your cleanser cleanses Enfeeble off, now won't cleanse it off Gnarlhorn, but the counter goes up by 2 for each Enfeeble they cleanse. And I want to say she, but she in this case. So 1, 2, 3, 4 Enfeebles we're going to cleanse off at 2 points each. That's 8. We're going to be up to 13 here when I hit auto. Now we're up to 13. Now, at this point, we have to have this below 10. If we don't have this below 10, he will use his A4 instead of his A1, and his A1 gives him turn meter fill by 20%, and this comp is designed with that in mind. So if he's going slower, it's going to screw things up. Now, that means when he does his A3, Gnarlhorn and the 2 DPSs are going to go. That's easy to, you won't even get above 10, so you want to get it back down to 0 if possible, right? Which means Gnarlhorn and your fastest DPS will go here, and they have to have, between the 2 of them, a minimum of 4 blessings. You don't have to have any blessings on your second DPS, but it definitely helps, because I want to say, actually be preferable if you have 5. That way you can cleanse the potential crit hit of 5 back down to 0. But I want to say, Reliquary Tender gets a turn in there, so as long as you have 1 blessing on your cleanser, you'll be okay. But you need to make sure that this is back down below 10 before he goes into that A1. And at this point, she's going to go. I want to say Gnarlhorn's going to go, and then he's going to take his A1. So she goes. Now we got below. Okay, oh, she did get a turn there. So just the 2 of them went, and then he attacked with his A1, and we start to cycle over. So I'm going to just let it run out. That's why it's important to know how many blessings you have, and that you have the right one on the right champs, at least, or enough on the right champs. So I'm going to post it. Biohack is He's the man. He's the one that kind of came up with this comp. He's the one that discovered what blessings and all of that, what speed tunes work. So I'm going to put his video on there. I'm also going to link his spreadsheet. He has a spreadsheet. It kind of shows you, you can put in what your blessings are and how high they are, and then you can find out if you have enough blessings to overcome the A2, A3 issue and or the full cycle issue. Other than that, those are the important things. Now, horn's definitely important because he cannot weak hit. And then the amount of blessings. And if you don't know about those two things, you're going to wonder why your comp is not working. Now, if you got super endgame team, you got far better runs than all that. Now, this run generally takes between 2 minutes and 2.5 minutes with these all rares. You can substitute other DPSs, Magic Affinity. So if you wanted to throw in a Royal Guard, that's fine. Newt, I would not recommend in this comp, but a lot of people run Newt or double Newt with like a Kaimar and a Riho and stuff. I don't know, crazy comps, but that's high end, and I'm not trying to show high end here. I'm just trying to explain how this shade counter works, how the tune works, what caveats you got to watch out for, because if you see somebody else's and they don't explain all this, you might have that pitfall and wonder why, again, it's not working. So we're coming up to the end here. I want to say they're going to have their Heartseekers right now. Poisons do a little bit, but, you know, it's nice. So, you know, I can't remember if you can put one of them in a toxic set, great, but definitely want some retaliation stuff here on Gnarlhorn if possible. And boom, there you go. It's done. And you can see my fastest time is 2 minutes. So usually between 2 minutes and 2 minutes 30 is what I'm getting from all rare team. Like I said, I will post that video. He explains the blessings and the counter, all that a lot better. And but also the spreadsheet, because that is definitely going to be helpful to try and figure out if you're in the right amount of blessings. But literally between your fastest DPS and Gnarlhorn, if you get 4 blessings, you're going to be all right. And then just a couple more blessings between these last 3, and you should be fine. All right. Now, real quick, let's just jump over what I'm going to say about Sand Devil. Well, I'll just show real quick. All right. Godseeker. Everybody hates it. Oh, guess what? I don't want to hear crap. Don't want to hear it, because this is what I'm going to tell you. Unless it's not booked whatsoever, any booked Godseeker will work. This one has 2 books and her A3, and this is what we're talking about when talking about booked. Her A3, which is a revivability, that's the important one. Okay. This one, it's got 2 books in, which means she's not fully booked by 1 book. That means her revive skill is on a 5-turn cooldown. In this exact same build, I took her, now Ninja switched up a little bit, but pretty much the same stats and stuff, from level 1 to level 25. And you got to do a lot of manualing in between on those lower levels till basically you hit about 21, and then you can finally start hitting auto. Same build all the way through, so you can do every single stage. I don't want to hear the crap that you can't do it. The only thing that's going to limit you on this Godseeker method is your regen gear. Okay, that's it. That's your only limiting factor. DPS does not matter. Now, so let's go back to the Bastion here, and we're going to take a look. Okay, you saw, I kind of saw the tunes there for Shogun and why Gnarlhorn is important, and then again, Paragon or Emic. Preferably Paragon. You know, hey, if you can do stage 25 with champs that you're just leaving sitting in the vault, you know, a bunch of rares that you're already using with a reasonable amount of time, why not? Now, so let's get back to the Godseekers. Okay, first one, not in the right gear. Okay, but she is fully booked. So I can use her in one of 2 ways. Fully booked, 2-star or less blessing. She needs enough stats, and you'll see on the other ones, enough stats. So you need 246 speed minimum, and then enough survivability stats, which are probably going to be like 55,000 and 3,500 defense, 55,000 HP, and regen and defiant, and probably regen and defiant. Probably want to go 37 minimum and 60,000 minimum HP, and regen and immortal, but you got to have regen period. And of course, the higher, the better. Now, the caveat with her, fully booked and 2-star or below, blessing, miracle heal, blessing, your DPS has to have pretty beefy stats and regen gear as well. Now, before you go crying about that, let me tell you, as long as your DPS doesn't have turn meter or whatever and their big hit skills, as long as they're 130 speed or more and below 270. So at 131 speed, if you can not get enough defensive stats and HP stats on your DPS so that he can survive the A2 hit and the 2 A1 hits, well, then you probably don't deserve to be doing this boss just yet. You need to get better gear. So you don't have that big a speed requirement as you do on Godseeker. Godseeker's the key. She's going to be the hardest one to gear because you need high speed plus those high HP and defensive numbers. There you go. Because you cannot use a suicide DPS with her fully booked. Now, if she's fully booked and you have 3-star or better, you can use a suicide DPS champion, which makes it a lot better because then you don't have to worry about building her. Why is that? Now, there is a caveat again to this. Okay, Miracle Heal. At 3 stars, 75% chance to restore the destroyed max HP. So there is a fail rate built in at 3-star. But at that point, now you can drop her down. I want to say 186 might be the lowest or slowest speed you need. Of course, you're going to need the Mastery Spirit Haste. But, lower speeds means you can get higher HP and higher defense. So you're taking a chance that, you don't get this proccing enough, and eventually the boss could potentially decrease your max HP enough that you can't heal enough to survive that A2 hit now. You're not going to survive the A1, or the A3, sorry, period, end of story. But, of course, at 5-star, then you don't have to worry about that at all. Again, you need the Mastery Spirit Haste. Increase speed for each dead ally. Godseeker is not an ally, so when she dies, you don't get crap for speed. Your DPS dies, that's 8 speed. If you have 1 food with your DPS, that's 16 speed. If you have 2 food with your DPS, that's your 24, and that's your cap. If you have 3 food in your DPS, you're still at 24, but now you're farming that food efficiently. All right. Now that's cleared up because the boss goes at 272 or 270 on stage 25. And you need to be going that fast or faster. So 246 is the cutoff unless you have 3-star or higher and you are taking a chance of fail rate at 3-star. So there, fully booked Godseeker will work either way. But suicide if you got 3-star or better. Now, there are 2 not quite fully booked. So the slower one, need to have 246, and you definitely need to have Spirit Haste. Real quick, she's at 247. She's ready to go, actually. I have 2 books, so it's on a 5-turn cooldown. I need to make sure after the big hit, she is going at 270 or better. But because it's on a 5-turn cooldown, I can use a suicide DPS. All right. This does have a small fail rate built in. Why is that? I'm not 100% sure if it's just the first A1 or both A1s that need to 3% and miss, landing the decreased speed on her that will throw out the tune. So what happens? Boss big nukes, she gets up, picks up your DPS, you do your damage. Boss wakes up, hopefully you got an HP burn to do a little more damage. Boss cleanses and then goes into his Ace 2 and hits you hard and kills your suicide DPS. You want your suicide DPS to die when that A2 happens. Then she's got the boss that has 2 turns of A1s, and he puts decreased speed on you. And you don't want this is why you don't want resistance. And that's built in this 5-turn cooldown. If it doesn't land it and you go turn for turn with those 2 turns, you're going to revive your DPS before the big hit instead of after, and that's going to mess up your run. That also messes up her healing abilities. So one of 2 things is going to happen. You may turn limit out, which I have seen, or he's going to slowly whittle away your max HP to where you can't heal enough and recover it back before he finally kills you. That's when it's going to happen. But I ran 400 plus runs before I even found out that it wasn't 100% success rate. So very, very small chance there. So this is pretty solid as long as, again, you can reach the stats. Now, real quick, let's go over the fast one. Only difference here is only one book on 6-turn cooldown. Now, between the 6-turn and the 5-turn, you need at least 1 book, at least 1 in the passive. If it's fully booked or 2 books, does not matter, at least 1 book in the passive. All right, now that I pointed that out. Now with the fast one, she is at 272 speed. Why is this important? Well, with Spirit Haste Mastery, she will be at 296. Thanks to Saf, he's the one that figured this out. But at 296, she is fast enough that on again, those A1s, when the boss land is decreased speed, she's still going to take a 1-for-1 turn with them. So now you need to extend out that A3 revival, right? Because she's taking more turns. But as long as you have the right stats to survive, this is a 100% run. Because she is overcoming that fail-safe of, it doesn't matter if you hit me with decreased speed or not. You're going to take a turn, I'm going to take a turn. You're going to take a turn, I'm going to take a turn on those A1s. She's going to be able to heal enough, and then her skill will be available. But landing that skill, landing this, at least 1 in here and 1 in here, I get it. It can be difficult. So there you go. But 1 book, 2 book, or fully booked on this A3, you got 4 different methods to use Godseeker. So I don't want to hear that, oh, it can't be done. Now, this is the one that I literally took from stage 1 to stage 25. Like I said, you got to manual it, and she's got pretty solid stats. I have overkill on stats, but I don't like to take a chance. But there you go. DPSs, real quick. Ninja's the best, period, end of story. Unless we're talking like God tier, like I said, again, you're talking Sifi, Riho, Rodas, Double Nude, or Newton, whatever, and you're literally speed farming this in like 30 seconds, but this is not what I'm talking about. Most people eventually, especially by this point, hopefully, you have at least gotten 1 Godseeker. Now, Ninja, you may not have him, but here's why he is the best. Real quick, his A2 attacks 3 times. There's only 1 person to attack. 100% chance of landing HP burns for 3 turns. Plus he ignites them when he lands them. So he's going to hit the boss while asleep. 1, 2, 3. If he lands all 3, he will also do 3 ticks of HP burn. You do not want War Master or Giant Slayer or Phantom Touch. Helm Smasher is alright, but I still wouldn't recommend that either because he's not going to do much damage with any of these anyway, right? It's all about his HP burns. But War Master, Helm Smasher, or Phantom Touch counts as an extra turn that's going to screw up the counter on the boss. Because with Ninja or any 3-hitter, he's going to do his 3. You're going to start with 5. He's going to do his 3. Godseeker is going to do 1, and then the boss is going to wake up. Well, if he does 3 and he gets a Phantom Touch, that's going to be 4, and then Godseeker is going to do his 1. Now you just woke up the boss instead of letting the boss turn meter out and wake up, and so he's going to go straight into his A2 instead of wake up. Because when he wakes up, you're going to get at least 1 more turn with Godseeker. But if he's already awake, he's going into his A2. You didn't get that turn. You missed a chance to heal. And it just throws it out of whack, because remember now, your cooldown on that revival skill also went out of whack. And next thing you know, she's going to be reviving him after the A2 instead of after the big hit. But, okay, back to him. So 3 hits, he sets him off while the boss is asleep. When the boss wakes up, as long as you have the counter greater than 0, he will wake up. He will take another tick of HP burn. So that's 4. HP burn, poison, stuff like that will tick off before the boss cleanses on his A2. Now, decreased defense and all that, it's going to get cleansed on the A2, and it won't matter from that point on. So he's got the potential of landing 5 HP burns. Each HP burn is 3%. 5 times 3 is 15%. So in one cycle, you could do 15% of the boss's damage. Ninja's on a 3 turn. Who's next best? Next best, where is she at, is Sissia. Why? Sissia 1 is Force Affinity, which means she's neutral to the Force Affinity boss on stage 25. 2, HP burns for 3 turns. Plus she gets an extra turn, which means she's going to go ahead and ignite one of those HP burns and reduce it by 1 turn. So she's going to ignite it, and it's going to be down to 2 turns. Now she's not a 3-hitter like Ninja, so you don't have to worry about the counter. If you got War Master, fine, that won't be a big deal. If you got Phantom Touch, fine, that won't be a big deal. She's going to hit, set it off. Godseeker is going to hit. Your counter is going to be like a 2 or 3, but the boss will hit the turn meter limit. He will wake up. He's going to take that second hit of HP burn, and then he's going to go. You're going to do your Godseeker. He's going to take his A2. He's going to get hit with that 3rd HP burn before cleansing. So she's hitting 3 HP burns. That's 9%. That's why she is second best. Period. End of story. Don't argue with me on this, okay? Now, potentially Chronom. But here's the problem with Chronom. 2 turns of HP burn. 2 turns. But it can get extended by 1 turn if the Mars is on the team. But you're not going to get this hit off and then this hit off before the boss wakes up. I can't 100% confirm that this is going to be the case, but I will eventually run it to prove it. So he's the only one potentially that could match Sissia. Now, any other burners? Let's see. Ignatius. 2 turns. Where's another one? Artak. 2 turns. Mordecai. 2 turns. All the other burners are 2 turns. That's why they're next in line. Now, there is one caveat here real quick that I want to discuss. If you have 5-star, but definitely 6-star Brimstone, Brimstone is equivalent to 2.5 HP burns, or roughly 7.5% of the total max HP of the boss. So, anyone with Brimstone will beat out a 2-turn HP burner. A 2-turn HP burner on Brimstone will beat out Sissia. Now, Sissia with and this is why I'd love to have a 6-star Sissia, she will outperform Ninja. Now, if Ninja has 5 or 6 star 8 Brimstone, it's in the story he wins. Your max HP champs are going to be next, and then poisoners are going to be after that. And the only pretty much viable poisoner is going to be Taurus, because he puts 4 turns. She's going to reset that ability, so he's always going to be putting up 4 poisons, which are the big poisons, 5% each. But then remember that's critted at 10%, so you're going to get 2% max HP every turn. No, Cavalax puts it up at the start of the fight, and then he only has 2 poisons each time, so he is not as good as Taurus. There you go. There's your DPSs. End of story there. That's how they're rated. Again, go see my other video, and I explain all of that, and there's a little bit of video proof. Now, real quick, I want Trunda here. I'm going to show you, and we're going to talk dust for dust. All right. So I go here to upgrade this piece and ascend. You can see I have 11 dust, but I've done 9 attempts. That 9 attempts is equivalent to 60 dust. Now we got 20 to start. So I've run through 40 dust. Technically I run 43 because I tried the boots once. And I still have not landed the attack percentage that I wanted. That's not much. And I have run through. So I'm going to real quick show you here. I just want to show you the dust limit here. Ascend. I am at 30. They gave us 20, so I have earned 10. Now, real quick, just to show you this, if this thing will exit for me. Okay, I had an 8,000 energy thing that I grabbed. Probably had another 15 energy or so between daily stuff and rewards or whatever. I spent almost 2,500 energy of that on Shogun. So that's 100 plus runs to get 10 dust. And you saw on Trunda on the main piece, I'm already up to 9 dust per attempt. Are you kidding me? That drop rate sucks. Now, I've done some of the stuff, like Iron Twins and the required campaign stuff. So I haven't used a whole lot of energy on other stuff. Otherwise, close to, if not slightly more, 5,000 energy on Sand Devil to get that, 40, so 50 to 54, 50 to 54 dust, 5,000 plus energy. The drop rates are terrible on this stuff. Now, Sand Devil's a little better because the percentages that you can get if you hit percentage on that gear is great, so you're going to want that oil. So yeah, you're going to burn through a lot of energy. So don't be in a mad rush to do all this. If you can't do 25, blah, blah, blah. Now, also, I want to say Biohack came up with the Blizzard. As long as you got the 5-star blessing as well for him, he can solo Sand Devil as well, and he can do it in about 3 or 4 minutes time, so that's not too bad. I average about 2.5, but I'm running a lot of other stuff. Otherwise, my best time is a minute 45, which is pretty much just this one raid session open. I have 2 free-to-plays that usually I have open. That's why it's slower, because I'm bogging down my processor. But if you're not bogging down your processor, you can get it sub 2 minute with Ninja. And I want to say about 3 minutes with Sissia. So between Blizzard or Sissia, I'm not sure what would be better. Possibly Blizzard, because then you're only building 1 champ period instead of 2, but 6 doesn't have the other right now. Anyway, but you see, that's a lot of dust. Well, a lot of energy to get a little bit of dust. Now, pick a champion, doesn't matter. Your stats are better, right? So you're going to want the oil anyway for, things like speed on speed boots, or attack, percentage on attack chest, crit damage or crit rate. When it comes to Shogun for your accessories, it's less, because most likely if you have crit damage main stat, you're going to try and shoot for crit damage. Other than that, you're probably not going to touch it, because flat stats suck, and you get flat defense, attack, or HP available, not percentages on your accessories. The only other thing is maybe on accuracy, you're shooting for accuracy, and resistance, you're shooting for resistance on your banners, and that's probably the only time you're going to use the dust on those, so not a big deal. Now, I will say, while the drop rates suck, and I hate to say this, but you could spend 10,000 energy in Fire Knight or Dragon and not get 1 piece of gear that's better than you already have. So, at least getting the oils potentially improves your gear. and it's probably going to be the most efficient way as far as using your energy. And then if you get your dust to rework it to get it to the stat that you actually want, that's going to be the best way to improve your count and or your gear, no matter what the current cost is, as long as it doesn't get worse thanks to Plarium. So hopefully they will start giving us better opportunities in events and tournaments for getting a reasonable amount of this dust, or they'll come to their senses and at least up the drop rate and or the drop amount a little bit, because this is freaking ridiculously low, especially this damn powder or whatever the hell for accessories. 10 out of 2,500 energy, over 100 runs is just stupid ridiculous. I'm like, great, so I can do 3 pieces of gear for the first time, or I can do 1 piece of gear on the 7th time, and then I'm screwed. I can't do anything after that. So, or 2 pieces of gear for the 2nd time, and I spent 2,500 energy for that shot, and I may not get it. Like you see, 9 attempts on Trunda, and I still haven't got the stat I want. So a little bit costly there. So don't be in a doggone hurry. But if you want to start at least leaning that way, there are the caveats for Shogun that might bite you in the butt, and there are the caveats for Sand Devil. As far as who can you use to complete this that's not God tier champions and God tier gear. Hopefully that was helpful. Have a nice day.